Yeah. What's up, everybody? What's up, man? What's up? I was trying to make it back before the music stopped. We almost made it, yo. We almost made it, man. How's everybody doing, man? Welcome, man. Welcome. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody's Wednesday been? Alrighty. We're gonna lock in just 1 second. Hi, Mom. Always present. But this is a safe space, right? This is safe space, right? Cause I gotta tell y'all, man. For real. I have been completely useless the last couple days, bro. And I'll tell you why. Every year this happens, right? Every year at some point this happens, where I get caught up with all of these app games on your phone. Happens to me at some point every single year, never fails. And it happened this past weekend, man. It happened the last couple days. I have been stuck. There's this office game that's been stuck that I've been stuck on. My Universe, Stealth Mass app. I'm actually uninstalled this one. This was kind of whack. Brain Test. But really, the two that have had my complete attention is The Office and Hole.io. Now, I know that's an AO, but don't judge me. Don't knock it till you try it, right? But I think it's one of those things where it's taken over the last couple of days because there's been so much just on my mind when it comes to the show and trying to get everything up and running and doing a better job at this, right? I think about it all day long. And these games have been almost like an escape, right? To just, get away, to be on autopilot and not think about anything, to just decompress. Sometimes when we're on this day-to-day thing, right, trying to improve ourselves, trying to improve our lives, whatever your journey is, right, I think sometimes we forget to just take a step back and assess our situation, right, before moving forward. And the last couple days, like I said, I've been useless, and it's been filled with a lot of useless shit. However, there were some bright ideas in there. There were some useful conversations that I was able to have with myself internally, with my girlfriend Sam. So, take the good and the bad. Some days you're gonna be super productive and do a whole lot of things. Other days you won't. Like I said, you just have to take some of the good with the bad. Now, before we get into anything, right? Because like I said, video games are just, it's been a real escape lately. The other day, I quite possibly had the greatest game in 2K25 yet. I had 103 points with Anthony Edwards, but it was a double overtime victory. So this is the last couple seconds of the first overtime. So this is me sending it into the second overtime. So let's take a look at it real quick.
20 seconds left in overtime. And got it! Another basket! He is ripping through this defense and continues his assault for the record books. And that score moves him into second place for most points.
What just happened, dog? Why did it just do that? Did like my Wi-Fi just die? The fuck?
20 seconds left in overtime.
Cash.
And got it. Another basket. He is ripping through this defense and continues his assault on the record books. And that score moves him into second place for most points.
All right, I don't know what's happening. This shit's not working right now. All right, so we are going to continue right along. I don't know what's going on with that. It was working for me earlier, but that's besides the point. I hit 2 threes to send that shit from regulation into overtime, into the first overtime. And in that first overtime period, hit another 2 threes with Anthony Edwards to send it into the second overtime, which we then won. I played that second overtime with 5 fouls with this guy. So that was truly, truly incredible. So, you know, without further ado, let's get right into this right here.
Yeah, because, you know, here's the thing. You know, when I was playing, you know, I would get chastised a lot for being selfish, saying we just got to fit into a team. It's about winning championships.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I get it. I'm doing it. Right? Won 3 straight. Okay, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I also knew that when my career is over, they're going to chastise me for the same thing.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, well, you're only great because you played with Shaq. I'm like, whoa, hold up.
Yup.
You can't have it both ways, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So it was important for me and Shaq to go separate ways.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want people to use that again. They still do. But it was important that I win championships without him. And you get a glimpse of what I could have done individually had I not played with him.
So that's, hey man, that's gonna be what we will be talking about today. We are gonna be talking about legacies, man. We're gonna be talking about legacies. That was a beautiful Kobe quote. I was watching a lot of Kobe videos earlier, man. Rest in peace. Think about you a lot, bro. Mean a lot to a lot of people's lives, man. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Yup. We're gonna be talking a lot about legacies today, man. A lot about legacies. We got a lot to get into, yo. We got a lot to get into. Media Day's here. NBA Media Day's here, right? Yeah. Alright. I just want to get that started real quick, man. I appreciate y'all as always, man. Before we continue, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. But let's jump right into it with this right here.
Ask you this too. Anything else? Anything we could look for that you might have add to your bag?
For me, it's not just like one specific thing, right? I at 26 and I guess as accomplished as I am, I just always feel like overall I can still get better. I'm not at, you haven't seen like the best version of Jayson Tatum.
This is phenomenal.
And so we have not seen the best of Jayson Tatum. You know, some people said he's just talking shit. Some people said he's putting out a warning to the league. We just spoke about this the other day, right? An athlete's prime doesn't start until they're the study was suggesting 25 to 30, and everyone's a little bit different, but that's about where the prime starts, right? Jayson Tatum is 26. Michael Jordan won his at 27. LeBron won his at 27. It's a very common number. He ages in slow mo. I mean, dude is like 26. Dude is. I think people forget like he's 7-8 years in with all of the stuff that he's accomplished, right? And you know, he says he still thinks he can get better. I'm curious as to what that looks like, though. if we go back to what Kobe was talking about, separating with Shaq, because he never wanted people to have the argument of, oh, you always needed Shaq, right? Because that's probably what's going to happen with Tatum, right? He's going to go through his career, this great career. He's put up good numbers, nothing record breaking, but really good to great numbers. Has all these accolades, championships, all NBA first teams. But people are going to say, oh, you couldn't win without Jaylen Brown. Or even worse, people are going to say you weren't even the number one guy on your team. Which is what I want to get into when I say legacy, right? Sports is one of those funny things where it's damned if I do, damned if I don't, right? So on one hand, if you want all of these championships, right, and all of the team success and the team accolades, you have to sacrifice yourself individually in a lot of different ways, right? But then you go on, you win your 2, 3, 4, whatever amount, right? But your numbers, we've seen it with Kobe, we've seen it with Jordan, we've seen it with even Bron. Your numbers go down a little bit. And so in your pursuit of these rings, your individual stats suffer. But what they don't tell these athletes is at the end of their careers, when we're comparing championships, oh shit, now we get to bring up, you only had 16,000 points for your career? Oh, you only averaged 24? So the thing that you sacrificed for all of these team success now comes and bites you in the ass. He will continue to be dogged unless he does something outside of basketball. People choose favorites. 100%. And, I bring this up for Jayson Tatum because he, ironically enough, has an opportunity to potentially run up a bunch of championships, but at the end of it, of this run that he has with Brown and Tatum, let's say they part ways, right? They're going to be too old to put up those individual stats to become legendary status. Because Mike and Kobe have put up numbers like Kobe said, he wanted to give you a glimpse of what that could have looked like. We haven't had that opportunity with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. If we look at the Warriors, right, Klay Thompson is probably kicking himself right now. Because he's reduced himself to a role player when, I'm not saying he would have, but what if he was a 24 to 25 point per game scorer on another team? We would never know. But now he's in a situation where when he does switch over to another team because he's really, really good still, he's in this reduced role because he's a little bit older now. Physically not the same anymore. He's had some injuries along the way on all of these championship runs, right? That's the other part that they don't talk about, the toll it takes on your body. So you can't have those record career years. the duality in those two things, right? There are few people that end up in situations where they're able to have historic seasons and then win a championship, because ideally that would be your ideal route. You come into a shitty team, right? If you're a top pick in the league, so you go to one of the bottom teams, you put up these ridiculous numbers because there's no one around you, and then they start to build on you, and then it grows, and then 5, 6, 7 years, year 5, 6, and 7 is when you're really starting to make that championship run, that leap. But those first 5 years, like Michael Jordan was able to do, he ran that motherfucker up. And so legacies, it's fickle, right? Like, some people want to pretend and act like, you just go win a bunch of championships and that's it, right? But it's not that simple, right? Like, if you compare, the eye test says Dwayne Wade is one of the greatest shooting guards ever. I haven't looked at it, but would his numbers say the same thing? And then for a while, you had a lot of people that were saying Kawhi is one of the best players ever, 2-time finals MVP. Whoa. His numbers are nowhere close to even a James Harden. Even if you think he's better than James Harden, even if I agree with you, the body of work ain't there. And so, we, and I can speak for me, right? I will try my best to consistently speak about these things in a way where we give everybody their credit. And we critique when it's necessary. Right? Because like I said, these legacies are, it almost feel like they're always trying to get away from these people, from these players, right? Like, their legacies are always trying to escape them. And it's this push and pull that they got to play between being unselfish and also being selfish, right? To the people out there, right, that have been unselfish for most of their lives, giving for others, I think all of y'all have the right to be selfish at some point. Fuck how everyone else might feel around you. That's just how I feel. I think you have that right. But not everybody feels that way. And so, I'm curious as to how both Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown's careers will turn out. Will they ever have that opportunity? Like I said, I think they're probably going to be too old by the time they are capable of doing something like that. You're looking at Jayson Tatum in his early 30s, so maybe he can get a couple years of putting up astronomical numbers if for whatever reason Jaylen Brown and him decide to part ways, right, at some point. But that's the balancing act, right? That's the balancing act that they got to play with their careers, that we just get to talk about and talk shit about. Meanwhile, they make career altering decisions constantly. Now, the other part that I was very curious about, right, is this idea of moving the game forward, right? So here's another Kobe quote that we have.
That MJ was doing, he learned from David Thompson and Jerry and those guys. Stuff that I've done. I've learned from MJ. Stuff that Bron does, learned from me, and playing on the Olympic team and the work ethic and all that stuff. It's a chain thing, man. I know people want to talk about who's this, who's that, because it fills up good conversation time or downtime, whatever the case may be. But for us as athletes, it's really a chain reaction. You can't have one without the other. It's just not possible.
That's a good point.
So where is that at this point, right? Is LeBron the person passing this information along? The other part, are players approaching him? Right? Because, you know, he can't just reach out to you because you're good or because he sees potential or whatnot. He could, but he don't have to. Right? I think a lot of times it's on these younger athletes to reach out, seeking help, seeking information. It's up to them. Right? I'm wondering who at this point, because early on, there was almost this feeling that Bron was treating Paul George almost in that way when they were going at it, Miami, Indiana. And then later on, when Ben Simmons had come into the league, he was working out with Bron and whatnot. Because when you think about greatness and legends, right? The teams that have won consistently over the last 24, 25 years, right? It's a very short list. You want to start with the San Antonio Spurs, right? First and foremost, you got to find Tim Duncan. I mean, I know he's been working with the Spurs, but Tim Duncan don't seem like the type to just be out, right? God knows where Tony Parker and Manu are. So having to find them and pull information from them has to be a mission all on its own. When you think about the different iterations of the LeBron teams, right? On the Miami Heat, you have a Dwayne Wade that you could reach out to. A lot of people forget Chris Bosh. I think a lot of guys need to reach out to Chris Bosh. I think he has a pool of information when it comes to how to deal with changing your role, how to play that role, how to deal with it emotionally, how to deal with it mentally, because all of those things are important, right? And these guys need to seek out someone whose role they can identify with. And I think Chris Bosh would be a important person that a lot of people can reach out to, right? So Chris Bosh, you have a Kyrie who seems to give up information. He talks about being a teacher, being a master of his craft. I think he's someone that you can pull a lot of information from. I think, clearly Tatum and Brown come from that lineage. Bron, Jay Cross, Melo, Thad Young, CP3, Russ, Harden, KD. I've seen pass a decent amount of info out. Agreed. But when it comes to championships, like when it comes to Mike Jordan passing that information to Kobe, that's GOAT talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is no disrespect to CP3. This is no disrespect to Russ or Harden. But, even Melo, like that type of information of, all right, we're going on a championship run year in and year out. And what does that look like? What does that entail? What does the preparation look like? What does this... I think that is something that, people can only speak on from experience. And like I said, that list is very short, right? You think of the Warriors, right? A Steph Curry, a Klay Thompson, a Draymond, and like you said, a Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant does a great job of passing information along. It just hasn't turned into a championship yet. Post the Warriors. So, that's obviously something to take into account. And then, unfortunately, right, the Lakers, Shaq is not giving any of y'all motherfuckers information. Like, Shaq is not helping a single one of you motherfuckers out. So you could cross Shaq off of that list, right? And then, obviously, we lost Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. So that list is really short. And when you take into account the fact that a lot of them are still competing, right? How willing are they to give up that information, right? Which is why I've been so adamant about the next 4 years leading into the next Olympics might be the most important years that the NBA has seen since the 80s or since the 70s, since cleaning up the cocaine era when Bird and Magic came. Like, since that, this might be the most important, crucial 4 seasons that we will see. Because by the time that Olympics comes around, there will be no question who the face of the NBA will be. I don't think the NBA will allow the Olympics to come over here and not have a clear-cut face for who that person is in the NBA. Shaq may quite literally be the biggest hater. If you're over 7 feet, you're not supposed to hate. Yo, he is such a troll, dog. And listen, I think some of it is really funny, right? I think a part of me wants to say that he's just baiting like Rudy Gobert. He's just trolling them. But I also think that he's dead ass. And so him being dead ass, I think, makes it funnier. Like, I genuinely think it's way funnier that he is dead serious. Like, I got a lot of money, but I'm still mad that you make $250 million a year. One of the most marketable NBA players ever, never had an issue with money at all, is the one that's mad that Rudy Gobert makes $250 million a year. Like, it's comedy. That's comedy, man. That's comedy. Now, looking ahead to the season a little bit, right? I know we've been talking about the Boston Celtics a lot. But to kind of continue that, this is what Big Perk had to say about the Boston Celtics.
No one in the NBA is scared right now of the Boston Celtics. I'm just letting you know this. This is why the New York Knicks went out and they went and got Mikal Bridges and they upgraded their roster. This is why the Philadelphia 76ers went out and got Paul George and upgraded their roster. They're coming into training camp feeling great. And to be honest with you, let's be real, a lot of people...
He said they're not scared, but they went out and got talent. Continue, Kendrick.
Was looking at the path that the Celtics went through to win the NBA championship and say that they actually had an easy path for the competition and the teams that they played that were not healthy. So again, I love it that the Celtics are coming in with a chip on their shoulder, especially the 2 young superstars in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. Whether that's because they have a beef with the Olympics, like Jayson Tatum said, one of the best things that happened was him not winning the Finals MVP. I think we're going to get a better version of Jayson Tatum. But at the end of the day, teams did stack up in the rest of the league, and especially in the Eastern Conference, to go look the Celtics eye to eye, and they're going to do that this season. It's a reason that we're on this streak right now where teams haven't repeated. It's hard. Teams are getting better every single offseason.
So he started that whole thing with no one fears the Celtics, but then goes on to say that every team in the East, in a hurt East, added talent. Now, the idea of fear in sports is it's this weird thing, right? Like, nobody ever wants to talk about it. No one wants to admit to it. But the definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. Now, obviously, a lot of people, when they talk about fear, it's with regards to the pain, right? It's with regards to physical harm, right? But I do think that the NBA understands this one thing. That the Boston Celtics were extremely dominant last year. They were beating everyone up. And so, I think early on, they instilled the thought that they would be a difficult team to beat. And now, no one will admit this, right? But I'm sure that the last thing that anyone wanted for this Boston Celtics team to do was to win a championship. Because what do I keep saying? Confidence is a hell of a fucking drug. It can send people to the moon that have no business being there just from their confidence. And now you take a team who was dominant last season, and their entire year, all their work, their effort, everything's been validated. There's no team that can recreate the 6-7 years of hard work, accomplishments, and more importantly, heartaches that this Boston Celtics team has endured. Mainly with Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So, are people in fear of the Boston Celtics because they think that the Celtics can hurt them? No, absolutely not. I'm sure those guys are extremely nice. I'm sure those guys are some of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. I'm sure of it. Jaylen Brown, super well spoken. I'm sure he's a great guy. Jayson Tatum, cornball. I'm sure he's a great guy. But to think and pretend that teams don't feel threatened by them, and don't feel threatened by the idea of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown having turned the corner together. Because this isn't a Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen situation where, you know, one guy's 28, 30 and the other guy's at like 16, 18. No, this is 28 and 24. And then you add on top of that Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, who's supposed to come back in December, a Derek White. I mean, to say that they're not, especially right now, a likely favorite for the championship is silly. Every team that you're gonna put up against them, their training camp is important. because they need as much time together as possible. They need the reps, they need the time. All of it is essential. And then they have to make their first year mistakes that all new teams coming together make. While the Celtics are building on what they've already built. So, to dismiss them and, like I said, to pretend and act as if, they're not a real serious threat to the league, it's just disingenuous. Like, we just not even talking about anything real no more. Like, we just saying shit. And that's the part that really, like Kendrick Perkins just be talking, bro. Like, he literally just be talking. Like, he just says whatever. So, moving right along, we talked about, stars of the league. Because we'll never be in their position, right? Where if you hit a shot, you're the greatest man in the city. If you miss the shot, it's fuck you. And here's Melo giving insight and perspective to what that is kind of like.
It ain't no other way. Mm-hmm. Whatever you got to do to win this game is on you to win this game. If you don't win this game, it's on you.
Yes,
that
sir.
You lost the game.
Uh-huh.
Right?
No matter what happens.
No matter what happens. So I'd rather every time go out there and try to be the hero. Like, if I don't make this play or this shot, I'm gonna be a villain anyway. So fuck it. I'm just going. I'd rather die on the sword. Like, let me just go out there and do what I do, and then live with shit that I worked on. Right. Live with my skill set. Live with what I worked on in the gym and the work that I put on. You may not understand that as a fan, not you personally, but the fan may not understand that. But now, I understand that. So that's the clash a lot of times.
You gotta love Melo, man. Like, you just he's so eloquent. He provides perspective. He's somebody that's been so misunderstood for so much of his career. Who's blackballed out of the NBA. I mean, the list goes on and on and on when it comes to Melo, right? But he provided a great perspective right there, right? To continue on this kind of legacy conversation that we've threaded through this whole thing, right? If you make the plays and make the shots, you're the greatest. And if you miss them, you suck. And Melo is saying right there is, rather than running from that situation and passing it off or not being that guy, right? He says, I'm just going to live and die by the things that I have put a lot of time into. By the shots that I've practiced thousands upon thousands upon thousands of times. And live with that. Because at the end of the day, that's what can help him sleep at night. Right? And, some people will call him selfish or whatever. But that's his perspective. That's his reality. We can't take that away from him. Because like I said, to begin this conversation, we've never been in that spot. We just haven't. And so to hear that from him, right? It adds, like I said, this perspective, because like I said, they're going to always take something away from you, right? You can only control what you can control, right? Life is a series of decisions. And what I've come to realize is the reason you can't second guess a decision is because by the time you blink and open your eyes again, another decision is going to have to be made. So it's much less about whether you made the right or wrong decision or right or wrong choice. It's about making one and moving forward, right? And when you hear Melo, he comes from a place of comfort. He comes from a place of he's comfortable. He's relaxed in who he is, where he ended up in his career, what he was able to do. I think that's really valuable, right? And it gets into this, you hear it all the time now, right? Oh, I won in life because I made $80 million for my family. I was able to change my family's entire life, right? And that's a great perspective, right? That's a great perspective. And I support it in some cases, though, because you can't just pull that out in a basketball conversation. Like when I talk about Carmelo Anthony, right, for example, you can say he's never won, but I could tell you how great he is. How I could tell you, oh, this is what I think of X, Y, and Z because of blah, 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 blah. Because of what I was able to see him do in all these different scenarios. And then you can rebuttal and say this is where he fell short during those scenarios. But that has nothing to do, unfortunately, with whether or not you were able to create life-changing money for you and your family. I do think it's a great perspective, but I think that there's a time and place for the arguments, right? Because I'll be honest, right? I'm usually pro player. But when some people bring that up, it sounds like a cop-out. I'm going to just call it like I see it. It sounds like a cop-out. It sounds like one of those, oh, I never won, but it's cool. And listen, I'm with that too, right? Like, I support a lot of guys that, aren't necessarily considered champions, right? I think there's a lot of value in a lot of these different athletes and players. But sometimes when I hear that, it does sound like a cop-out. As opposed to the players that really put numbers up, right? Like, you could call somebody a ball hog. It takes a lot of effort to be that person day in and day out, going at 25, 26 points a game. Being the number one person on that board every single day when you come into an arena. That's a lot. And so, we always, like I said, we're always here. We're talking about perspectives. We're talking about everything that we can under the sun, yo. Now, moving right along, because we are, like I said, on this conversation of legacies, right? And on Sunday, we have game 1 of a rematch between the WNBA finalists last season, which is the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. Now, legacy is written all over this matchup. Because I'll be honest with you. More than likely, the winner of this series is going to go on to win the WNBA championship. But like I said, this series is about legacies. Now, A'ja Wilson has just won in unanimous fashion her third MVP award. And her and the Las Vegas Aces are going for their third WNBA championship in a row. But on the other side, Breanna Stewart is a two-time MVP. Breanna Stewart is a two-time WNBA champion. And her team, the New York Liberty, fell short last year to the Aces. And then when you look at her duo in Sabrina Ionescu, right? This run has a lot of implications on her career. Now, the game that she had yesterday, boy, oh boy, what a fucking game she had yesterday. I mean, for real, like, wow, what a game. She had, it was like 36 to, let me take a look at this. She had like 36 and 9 or something like that. 36 and 9. Hell of a game. 5 of 11 from 3, 12 of 23 from the field. But when I talk about Sabrina's legacy and why this is important, and this is to nobody's fault, right? But the person that has taken her shine away is Caitlin Clark. And Sabrina, I think, has an opportunity now to get some of that light back. So, this series is massive. Massive. And then you add on top of that the way that both teams have gotten to this point of the year. On one side, you have the New York Liberty, who have been dominant. Everyone's been talking about they're on their sort of revenge tour, trying to get their get back. It's championship or nothing pretty much for them. And on the other side, you have the Aces, who are chasing all of these things, right? The 3 rings, A'ja, the 3 MVPs and whatnot. But they've sort of hobbled coming into this spot, right? Jackie Young was hurt for most of the season. Chelsea Gray came back to join the Olympics, having only played 1 game up until that point, right? Kelsey Plum has not had a great year. And so, when you look at the paths, like I said, that they have both gone on, right? They're very, very different. But we're about to see them clash heads. Now, the thing about the Aces is they just have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players that could really get going. You have A'ja Wilson, obviously, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young. Tiffany Hayes has been great in these last 2 games. And obviously, Chelsea Gray, the point guard. And so, if they're peaking at the right time, they can ruin this whole shit for the New York Liberty. But I'm going to be honest with you, yo. And I'm not giving my take on who wins yet. Not just yet. But I will say this. There's an energy behind New York right now. There's an energy. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but we might fuck around and run the table, yo. I'm being dead ass. We might fuck around and run the table in both leagues. Because, like I said, the New York Liberty, they look incredible. Game 1 will tell us so much about this series. I can't wait till Sunday. Game 1 will tell us so much. And honestly, I think this is really good for the Aces. It gives them time to rest, recover, all that good stuff for them, right? But it feels like it's destiny for the Liberty. And then on the other side, obviously, we have the New York Knicks, who are on this run. They've got all these players. Everything seems to be falling into place. But in the middle of all of it, like we keep saying, is legacy. Now, looking ahead to tonight's games, the Indiana Fever are taking on the Connecticut Sun for game 2, right? Where is this shit? Yeah. It says 6:30 p.m. Central. So it's going to start soon, so I should get off. But I am expecting a much better game out of Caitlin Clark. Will it be enough? A huge part of me wants to pick the Indiana Fever in tonight's game. But I'll be honest with you, I got a real tough time doing that. You know, the Fever have been hot, but the way that the Connecticut Sun turned that faucet off, I think it takes more than a couple of days to adjust to that. And for Caitlin Clark to all of a sudden adjust to DeWanna Bonner's size and length and athleticism, I mean, she's already gone from, it's going to take her a long time to get adjusted to the WNBA, to being on the all WNBA first team. So I guess her rise really is meteoric. But to expect this out of her, I think, is a lot. And with that, right, obviously, Kelsey Mitchell gets going off of her. Aaliyah Boston gets going. So can Caitlin Clark score and or really facilitate this game? I don't think she'll be able to do both. I think she'll be able to do one really well. They're going to take something away. It's up to her to figure this puzzle piece out tonight, right? It's going to be up to her, and I think this is why she's great. Even if you take something away, I think she could still not just be successful, but be extremely effective and dominant. And so I think Caitlin will play well tonight. Will her playing well be able to open the game up for Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston is the question. And that's where I'll be honest with you, I don't have an answer. I'm literally going to take a shot in the dark and say, I really want to see them play again. It was close until the end. I mean, they needed Mabry to have 27. I don't think she's going to have that again. Is DeWanna Bonner going to have another game like that? All right. I've made my decision, yo. The Indiana Fever will win tonight let's call it 94-86. 94-86. The Indiana Fever win tonight. Now, when we look on the other side, right, the other matchup, which is the Lynx versus the Mercury. Game 1 was very close up until the very end, right? 102-95 is extremely close. I do expect, I mean, Collier had a fucking game, right? You gotta think Brittany Griner is gonna get more than 10 points today. Kalia Copper is gonna be able to do what she does. Tarasi had 21. You know what? We're gonna see 2 game 2s going into Friday, man. So we're gonna have the Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury win tonight. I say the Phoenix Mercury win. I think it's going to be a grind out game, dog. I think it's going to be like 86-83. The Phoenix Mercury win tonight. Now, do I even have anything else on the docket? I don't think we got. Oh, before we get out of here, man. Because like I said, like I always say, Russell Westbrook, I take no Russell Westbrook slander whatsoever. But Russell Westbrook just opened up the newly expanded Westbrook Academy. He was in LA. So shout out to him, always helping out in the community for all the shit that this man gets. He's always a stand-up dude, always looking out for people. I've never heard a bad thing about him from a peer, from a competitor. I've never heard anything bad said about him. So big shout out to Russ. Also, Media Day has obviously been really big lately. That's why we've been talking about the Boston Celtics. There's a Jimmy Butler. There's a line for Jimmy Butler on what his hairstyle will be on Media Day that you could bet on online. Y'all should go do that. I think he gonna fuck around and come out with just a bald cut or a Caesar or some shit. So I think that's what's gonna be the. I think that's super interesting. We'll table this, but these podcasts have been doing their fucking thing lately. Shout out to Gills Arena. Shout out to Mello, Club 520. A lot of these guys are super inspiring, man. So they keep doing their thing. It'll make me better. As always, thank y'all for joining me. Y'all are amazing. I love y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. We're trying to take this to Mars, bro. Trying to take this to Mars. I appreciate y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere, and I mean anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you for that. So thank you so much. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on Friday. I will not be doing a show tomorrow, but I will see y'all on Friday. I appreciate y'all. Peace, love, man. You have a great rest of your day and great Thursday. I'll see y'all later, man. Peace, peace, peace.